So now I mentioned the jhana is very much like a base camp or some sort of a preliminary ground to develop the insight. So wisdom is the state of that sort of understanding, state of awareness that this is how the mind works, and this is how mind is burdened with suffering. Mind is dragging into this various cycle of pleasure and pain, rebirth and death, and so on. And you have seen the wisdom. What is that wisdom? Is this is how is mind when it is polluted with all these sort of processes, that mind becomes inevitably bundled into that sort of experiences, into the existence, into namarupa, in the consciousness, and it eventually end up in a death. Yeah. So you have experientially verified and tested that this is how the mind works, and that is the state of wisdom. Is that yes, in that wisdom, you know this is how the consciousness works, this is how the namarupa works, this is how the feeling works, this is how the rebirth works, this is what the bhava is, and so on. Yeah. So wisdom is to be able to see this process. Yeah. And seeing the kind of the empty nature of this reality is that there is a state of being free of all this kind of uh, fabrication of mind, and how mind is being dragged into the endless chain of existence, rebirth, re-death, and so on. Yeah, there is a way out of all this proliferation, all this sort of kind of let's say fabrications, by stepping out, and that stepping out from all this sort of a loop, all this sort of a proliferation, is backing off, taking a step back, and that is what the how I will describe that sort of a process uh, when we are in that sort of good state of jhana. Yeah. So being in a jhana is very much, you should celebrate, being able to experience a jhana by that sort of peaceful mean, by not suppressing anything, but by simply relaxing, by abandoning your attention. It's a moment to celebrate. Yeah. So Buddha said, jhana, one who has experienced jhana this way will inevitably experience nibbana. Yeah. In this very life. Yeah. So yeah. So if you have experience in the jhana in this manner, Buddha said that there is a sutta reference. So Buddha says there is a kind of a wood that is flowing from all the way from Himalaya through a river. If that piece of wood is not cast into the high ground or into swept away in the current, or if it has not been taken by villagers, that piece of wood will land into the ocean. Yeah, that's it. So that means if you can practice that and not be heedless, start to indulge with a sort of all the sensual pleasure, go back to the same or old stories, then Buddha said, yeah, it is possible to lose that sort of your progress towards jhana. Yeah, if you kind of go and do steal and kill living beings, indulge in this sexual intercourse with other people, all these sort of things are still real possibility. But the Buddha says that if you refrain from the sort of base activities, then that path is clear. It is inevitable that you land into nibbana. Yeah. So that is why I say that the jhana that we experience through this siksar, if you can remain in that jhana, take a step back, and have that sort of purity of your conduct, then yeah, it's really a moment to celebrate. It does lead to that kind of a state of freedom in at any time in this life. Yeah. So it depends on how much you take that and develop yourself. Yeah. So um, yeah, and it can materialize very quickly. Yeah. So it depends on the purity of your conduct. Yeah. Very much your virtue, your generosity, and your behavior They are extremely important. Yeah. So Buddha never said that, by staying in the Nirodha for 6 days, you become Arahat or Anagami. No, nowhere. I searched every sutta, and did Buddha say anything about this? Somebody claiming to stay in Nirodha for 6 days, 7 days. Did Buddha say anything about them? No. No, you don't need to stay in Nirodha for even for 1 day or 1 hour to 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 achieve this one of the four awakening states. Yeah. All you need to do is you understand what is the state of wisdom. Yeah. It's very everywhere you search, even in a Majjhima Nikaya 111, how Sariputta became an Arhat, not by staying in Nirodha for 7 days. Buddha didn't say that. Buddha didn't say that he stayed in Nirodha for 5 days or 2 days. What the Buddha says that his defilement, all these places were destroyed by seeing with the wisdom. Now, if you can see with the wisdom, this is how mind become, all this sort of got proliferated, become cluttered, and that sort of things. If you can see that moment, that this is with the clarity, that's it. There is nowhere that you don't get any certificate that you staying in 7 days for Nirodha, you will get an Arahat, an Anagami. Yeah. So these are all what is called the later commentarial fabrications that they have tagged that, oh, only Anagami and Arhats can stay in Nirodha for up to 7 days. So let's not go into that kind of a marketing, that's kind of things. Yeah. Let's see what the Buddha said. At least we trust what the words in the suttas uh, give us, and some kind of assurance that they do describe the entire teaching. Yeah. So we don't need tens of different of suttas. You have seen so much of repetition. One sutta justifies another sutta. Yeah. So there are ample kind of what is called evidence within the sutta. You just need to read one or few suttas, and you know what the Buddha said. Yeah. All other concept, all that sort of thing, you don't need. There is so much of repetition, so much of backup of the kind of what the Buddha said in the sutta. Yeah. You can find the same thing in the Majjhima Nikaya 111. Same thing you can find in the Majjhima Nikaya 56, in Athaganagara Sutta, in Anguttara Nikaya. There are hundreds of places that this is how you destroy your tens, by seeing you with the wisdom. Yeah. Not through kind of a breaking into that sort of a Nirodha and that sort of things. Yeah. So I think we need to, yeah, that can be a type of practice for yogis and people who strive, who practice very, very hard, and who want to, achieve something. Yeah. We are not trying to achieve anything. Yeah. Yeah. We are trying to give up the any kind of notion of achievement. That is why, this is how we distinguish ourselves. How do you know you have purified your mind? Look at yourself. Look at your behavior. Are you still, very much craving for pleasure? Are you still craving for luxury? Are you still angry with your, family and friends? Or are you still obsessive about this kind of about, recognition, rewards, to have many, many followers? All these sort of things. You can reflect your mind and see, do you have agitation? Do you have that kind of obsession? And if you have let go of those obsession, then yeah, then you have broken the fetters. Yeah. So which fetter you have broken? If you do not have any kind of sensual craving, and any kind of uh, craving for that sort of things, and so if you can taste those fetters by yourself. Yeah. You can taste those three fetters by yourself. Do you have any kind of a mind that is still thinking that you can be free from all these sort of rituals? You ask that mind, and mind will give you the direct answer. No. Why worshipping the Buddha statue will make you free? No, you know for see yourself. This is how we test all these 10 fetters, yeah? And do you have any doubt about this practice? No, because you have seen it yourself, yeah? So the third fetter is, what is this? Is called the, you do you take this body as your you? No. How can I take this body as me? This body is just a piece of meat, yeah? It's just a flesh and bone, yeah? So you can test all these 10 fetters yourself. Is there restless in restless traces of restless in me or not? Yeah. So we are not there, and at least I am not there in kind of a state to confirm there is no restlessness in me. If I am free of restlessness, I will become an arahat. Yeah. But I cannot say that. So you see, you can test all these 10 fetters yourself, and the mind will give you the answer. Is there any kind of slot and torpor in me? Yes, because I practice. I end up becoming drowsy. Yeah, so that means, yeah, you have not abandoned the sloth and torpor. Yeah, so this is very much Buddha's path, is that test and see for yourself. Test and see for yourself. Yeah, not through that sort of a meditative experience of, yes, I can stay in that kind of attainment of this Nirodha for this many days. Yeah, I don't buy that kind of claims.